Ooh, disrespectful. Introducing inmate number P as in Peter 01135809. White male, 6 foot 3 inches, 215 pounds, blonde or strawberry, eyes blue. Donald J. Trump, former president of the United States of America. Charges include violation of the Georgia RICO Act, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements in writings, conspiracy to commit filing false documents, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, filing false documents, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, false statements and writings, solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, and false statements in writing. Donald J. Trump, former president of the United States of America, has been booked in the Fulton County Jail, and he is released on $200,000 bond. Let's talk about it. I don't know why, but this coffee is tasting even sweeter this morning. Mm-mm-mm. Did y'all watch Donald Trump turning himself in real time on yesterday? I didn't. All I cared about was the mugshot. And I knew eventually the mugshot would be released. So I was outside playing with my dog and playing in the garden. hmm But now that Donald Trump has turned himself in, basically surrendered, and has been booked officially, mugshot taken, and is now released on bond, you have Republicans in the House up in Congress wanting to start a full investigation into Fani Willis, the district attorney who is responsible for that. Oh, yeah. Remember, Jim Jordan, he's over the House Judiciary Committee. Yeah, he did the same thing to Alvin Bragg when Alvin Bragg indicted him and booked him. And I believe they took a mugshot. They just didn't release it. Yeah, he did the same thing. He started an investigation into Alvin Bragg. Right. Alvin Bragg is a black man from New York. Fani Willis is a black woman from the state of Georgia. Funny how Donald Trump was also indicted down in West Palm Beach, Florida, and in Washington, D.C. by a white man, and Jim Jordan has not called for a full investigation into Jack Smith. I find that interesting. But anyway, let's get into what Jim Jordan is calling for. I got this article from Politico. I'll put a link to the article down in the description box. But Jim Jordan is a clown, right? All of these investigations that they have done have been a complete mockery of our political system and the justice system, right? Remember, they're still investigating Hunter Biden and his laptop. Remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene went on the House floor showing Hunter Biden's naked pictures. Everything that they try to come forth with as far as witnesses blows up in their face. They are clowns. House Republicans are a complete clown show. The Republican Party, complete clown show. But here's what Jim Jordan is doing. House Republicans are replaying a familiar script, playing political defense in former President Donald Trump's legal battles. All of this is an attempt to obstruct. All of this is an attempt to buy time for Donald Trump. All of this is to play to the MAGA base. All of this is buffoonery and nonsense because none of this will stick. The House Judiciary Committee on Thursday launched an investigation into Georgia's Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, hours before Trump is expected to turn himself in following his indictment on racketeering charges related to his push to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Why is this not going anywhere? Because there's evidence and proof that Donald Trump tried to interfere in Georgia's elections. He called. It's on audio. We've all heard it. So what is Jim Jordan trying to do other than run interference for Donald Trump? Nothing. Nothing. And bring attention his way. Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan, in a letter to Willis, said the indictment and prosecution implicates substantial federal interests. Oh, I'm sure. And the circumstances surrounding her actions raise serious concerns about whether they are politically motivated. A spokesperson for Willis didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on the letter. Here's what I suggest Fani Willis do. Fani Willis, get a copy of Alvin Bragg's response to Jim Jordan and just sign your name to the bottom of it, right underneath Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg basically told Jim Jordan he has no jurisdiction over what is going on in New York, so stay out of it. Fani Willis, do the same thing. Just sign your name underneath the bottom of Alvin Bragg and send it right on up to Jim Jordan. Jordan is asking Willis to hand over details on any federal funds the office receives by September 7th. And then he has the unmitigated gall to demand, when this man has no jurisdiction over what's going on here in the state of Georgia. He's dealing in federal. He has no jurisdiction on what goes on at the state level. He also wants communications with the Justice Department, including Special Counsel Jack Smith, who is leading a federal probe into Trump's challenges to the 2020 election that left the former president facing 4 separate criminal counts. Quote, given the weighty federal interests at stake, the committee is conducting oversight of this matter to determine whether any legislative reforms are appropriate or necessary. No, they want to know what type of evidence that Fani Willis has, and if she has any information on the evidence that Jack Smith has. Why? Because I'm pretty sure they want to know if they're in the mix when it comes to possible future charges. That's just my opinion. Such reforms could include changes to the federal officer removal statute, immunities for federal officials, the permissible use of federal funds, the authorities of special counsels, and the delineation of prosecutorial authority between federal and local offices, Jordan wrote in the letter. The letter details a well-worn move by House Republicans who have used their majority to investigate Trump's prosecutors. At the same time, Jordan and other GOP committee chairs are using their investigative powers to run a sweeping inquiry into the Biden family as they try to find an elusive link between Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings and President Joe Biden. In the spring, House Republicans sent a similar letter to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg following his indictment of Trump. The GOP request asked Bragg for details on federal funding and talks with DOJ that are similar to the Thursday request of Willis, as well as closed-door interviews. The earlier New York effort escalated to a brief legal battle between the committee and Bragg's office as House Republicans sought testimony from Mark Pomerantz, a former prosecutor in Bragg's office, but the spat quickly fizzled after Pomerantz provided testimony and as other Trump investigations have moved into the spotlight. This will fizzle as well. Let me sip my coffee. And wasn't Jim Jordan subpoenaed to provide testimony to the January 6th committee when they were doing their investigation? And what did Jim Jordan do? Jim Jordan ignored that subpoena. And Alvin Bragg gave him the respect to respond and say, you ain't got nothing to do with this. You have no jurisdiction over me. Leave me alone and leave this case alone and stop interfering. Alvin Bragg gave him a little bit of respect to follow up with that. We'll see what Fani Willis will do. But in addition to House Republicans, starting up this full investigation into Fani Willis, you got the Georgia GOP here doing some shady shit as well. So what the Georgia GOP has done, they have brought forth this new law, which I believe Brian Kemp has already signed. So this is in effect, I believe, in October. What they want to do is they want to have the authority to investigate Fani Willis and then have her removed from the case as it relates to Donald Trump. That's the only reason why this law was brought about. It's just in relation to Donald Trump. They want the power to remove Fani Willis from the case. Even if that happens, Fani Willis has made it so anybody else who steps up to that role can carry the torch. But here's what's going on. I got this from The Intercept. A little over a week after prosecutor in Georgia indicted former President Donald Trump for trying to overturn the results of the state's 2020 presidential elections, Republicans said they will use a new law to remove her from office. In May, Republican Governor Brian Kemp signed the law that created a new commission of political appointees with the power to remove and discipline elected prosecutors over decisions or policies not to prosecute certain offenses. The law seeks to limit or restrict reform-minded prosecutors. In the case of Fulton County, which includes Atlanta, District Attorney Fani Willis is not even known as much of a reformer. Instead, Republican lawmakers set their sights on Willis for another reason: prosecuting the wrong person. The GOP here don't like the fact that Fani Willis, a black woman who was elected into her position, has the power to bring down one of the good old boys. And so now they are seeking to revoke that power from her, even though the voters here in Georgia put her in that position. So they want to take away the decision that the voters made. In a Facebook post on Monday, State Senator Clint Dixon, a Republican, said Willis was indicting Trump because of an unabashed goal to become some sort of leftist celebrity. No, the people of Georgia elected Fani Willis. Hi, how you doing? We elected Fani Willis to prosecute criminals. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's doing her job. Hi, how you doing? We elected her to do. The Public Rights Project, a nonprofit that worked on a lawsuit by a bipartisan group of Georgia prosecutors against the bill earlier this month, filed a preliminary injunction against the commission on Thursday, seeking to stop it from initiating any disciplinary or removal proceedings against a prosecutor while litigation over the law is pending. Quote, the original reasoning for the mission was to go after DAs who supposedly weren't prosecuting enough. It's not only about not prosecuting enough, it's also about prosecuting too much if the defendant is the wrong one from the perspective of the partisan officials who are creating and staffing this commission. End quote. Now, when they staff this commission, you can bet your bottom dollar that not one Democrat will serve on this commission. It will all be Republicans. It will all be MAGA Republicans. And it will be for solely one purpose: to stop Fani Willis from prosecuting Donald Trump. I'll put this link down in the description box so you can continue to read further. There's a battle going on right now. We don't know. I believe it's supposed to start in October. We don't know if it will start. We have to wait and see. But that is what the state GOP is trying to do as far as obstructing and interfering into Fani Willis's case against Donald Trump. Y'all let me know your thoughts below on all that is surrounding former President of the United States, Donald Trump. Inmate number P as in Peter 01135809. And let me know your thoughts on Jim Jordan and what he's trying to do on the federal level. And also let me know your thoughts on what the state GOP is attempting to do. I think I need to write my congressman today.